Hi, folks. We're Tacitus today. Tacitus today, your pushback channel. Thank you for joining this audio live stream. In this essay, I'd like to talk about the authorities, in this instance, the police, but it could be another government body or instrumentality, seeking to entrap supposed, people, bad behaviour, people for bad behaviour, or even illegality or administrative illegality. And they seem rather sort of choosy about this. Again, the efforts to clamp down on misbehaviour are directed almost exclusively against the people who are least likely to engage in the misbehaviour. So they seem to go straight for the straight white male. That's the one, and ideologically, that's the one they want. The oppressor, the Nazi, swastika waving that. That's ideologically, that's what they want to be the person that they catch, but they're the least likely to be engaging in anything like this, the illegality they're trying to chase. But some of it gets crazy, and there's a thing in the UK at the moment where the police are attempting to clamp down, or so they say, clamp down on bad behaviour. So say women who are out jogging, or maybe they're going into the local park to do some working out or something like that. And I don't know what it's like in the UK, but in Australia there are groups of women that go to public parks with a trainer, and then they do various things like exercises, jogging, or whatever the case may be, in pursuit of fitness. Now I see these groups of women in the park often, and particularly where we've got a neighbour that goes away quite a lot, and we walk their dog down the dog walking park, which is directly adjacent to the public park. So I get to see these things. The thought never crosses my mind to catcall them, but wherever there's catcalling or whistling or jeering or hissing or hey babe, do you want to fuck us? Those sorts of, which I regard as extremely vulgar and an example of bad behaviour and bad manners. The people who are doing it are never white. They're always brown or black. They're never white. So this idea, certainly that I've seen. So and just my experience going around Sydney, going through some of the intense migrant areas. Again, particularly in Islamic areas where women are covered from top of their head to the tip of their toes, a white girl goes by in summer, wearing shorts or anything that even, I would think would be minimally revealing, really. Like the shorts could be fairly long, below the knee, and the T-shirt isn't particularly tight and doesn't have a plunging neckline. I wouldn't regard that as revealing on a hot day. But it is to many of these brown and black people, and so they catcall and jeer what they would perceive is or believe is the very pronounced lack of modesty that the white girl is displaying in their cognizance. So that's where you get the jeering and the whistling and the heckling from. Now, also you can get a situation where women who are particularly unattractive and overweight, but they're wearing a very tight-fitting costume, the G-string up the arse and all that sort of stuff, and they go walking around and they're jeered at, not because they're hot or because these men are desirous of intimate relations with them, but because they're, what are you wearing clothes like that for, looking like that, you silly thing, silly woman. And so there's that aspect of it. Nonetheless, the UK police, they're not putting up with this the patriarchy, the Nazi patriarchy. So what they do, they've got female police officers that go jogging. In the clip that I saw, one of them wasn't too bad, I suppose, but they're going around jogging, and I doubt either of them could jog for any great distance looking at them. So I'm assuming that the promo tape is them jogging for all of 100 metres, if that. But female joggers that are out there, and if a driver goes by and calls out or whistles or makes some profane observation of the situation, then there's police nearby that pull the guy over and just teach him these Nazi patriarchy ways have to come to an end. Okay, all right, then there's not a crime. It's just, you're displaying bad manners, what vulgar misbehavior and so on. Now, all right, then, okay, I'm not sure that's where the police should be spending their time and money, but where are they doing this? Are they going to the migrant areas? Are they going to the areas that are mainly black and brown, or even have a decent number of black and brown people? No, that would be racist. That would be fascist Nazi behavior. So they go to the all white areas where the women are the police women who are jogging, the undercover officers, are the safest, where the likelihood of law-abiding straight white citizens are going to be, so lowest risk for police. And that's the area that they're citing police, where there's hardly any examples of that. It just shows the toughness of these police, the fucking toughness, the way they fight back against these straight royal patriarchy Nazis. But do they go where, do these white female officers go jogging, in an area that's 50% plus brown, Islamic? Do they do? Well, no. Do they go in areas mainly black? No. Do they go into the inner city crime-ridden areas where crime of all sorts are off the chart? No. They go into the nice, quiet, law-abiding, straight areas. Those are the people that need to be brought to book for their fascist Nazi ways. I mean, you can't even imagine insanity that's this. But, you get these sort of attitudes. There was recently a parking lot in between sort of a couple of strip shopping centres, and the claim was, and it was in the local newspaper, the claim was that women were going in there and sitting in their cars, and local men were coming in and were getting hand jobs in the car for money. So and it was allegedly $50 for a hand job. Or so the article claimed. Anyway, this was considered to be, as you can imagine, was considered to be sort of fairly untoward. But it was brown and black people who were coming in from outlying areas, not the white people. It was 99% white area. But nonetheless, the police were tough. So they decided to put some undercover female officers in there in the car park, and if they saw a man coming along, their job, the undercover female police officers, was to get out of the car, dressed in sort of hot outfit, tight hot pant type shorts and plunging neckline and so on, was to get out of the car and then prominently display in front of the man, giving come hither looks to the man and showing off, waving their tush and all this, doing everything they can to try and entrap the man into asking for some sort of sexual favour for, and then the female officer would then say, yeah, it's going to cost you X, and okay, then that nabbed you, motherfucker. Yeah, you. So this was the idea, but the whole. They, instead of going after the brown and black guys, they purposely only went after the white guys going through. One of the officers, by the way, was interviewed, making some sort of a statement, and this was in an area that I went past. I just total disclosure here, I did not partake in the hand jobs. And anyway, she was actually quite hot. So I wouldn't have been surprised if she'd offered it, that there would have been something, wow, you're hot, So I think to make the entrapment work, they've got to use seriously unattractive undercover female police officers if they want to really make the entrapment work properly. I mean, I thought this chick was pretty hot. Not that I would have partaken in the hand job and the thing, but if assuming I was a single guy in the make, which I wasn't, but if I'd sort of met her around town and she had great ass and legs, and I would have probably hit on her. So anyway. So this idea of, and if you look at the UK and Australia too, in fact, all over the West, whenever it's advertised, what are the men, what men are misbehaving, what groups of men are misbehaving, behaving violently, oppressing women, harassing women, being misogynist, patriarchal Nazis. What sort of men are they? Now, we know from the statistics that it's overwhelmingly non-white men that are doing it. However, every advertising depiction, whether it be in Australia, whether it be in the UK, or New Zealand, Canada, and it doesn't matter, every depiction is straight white men behaving badly towards women. Every one. There is not an exception to this. And if you look at the advertising on, you just Google it, men are oppressing women type stuff, you'd be lucky if even 5% is non-white men. And just to show you how ideological it is, that the intended target of the ideological feminist fanatics is always the middle class white male. It's never the working class white male or the drug addicted white male or the career criminal white male. No. It's the middle class white male whose only crime has ever been a parking ticket. That's the one that they ideologically, that's the scope that they want. And so they always are portraying these sort of men as it. And even the recent advertising in Australia is that the white man behaves badly towards the woman, like whistles or hey babe, or some catcalling thing. And it's the perfectly turned out, excellently well spoken black guy who says to the white guy, hey man, that's not the right way to behave. It's the black guy that puts the white guy in his place. and the white guy tamely accepts the wisdom of the black guy who is I'm surprised the black guy has got any time to go out and put these white dudes in their place, because he must be spending all his time in the gym and in the clothing store and in the hairdressers. He's so well turned out. But anyway, this is the thing. So you've got white undercover police officers supposedly jogging. Again, the ones I saw, they wouldn't have been able to jog very far. But they only do this entrapment stuff in white areas. They don't do it in the areas where they're likely to be able to pull over 1,000 brown men and get them they don't do it there, which just shows how fucking disingenuous the whole thing is. You've been with Tacitus today, your Pushback channel. Thank you for listening.